All right, guys. So let's talk about how to position yourself as the go to expert on YouTube, even if you have a small channel. So, you are probably in some niche out there and you are an expert, right? And you're in the education business, or maybe you have an agency. But basically, you're in the business of helping people solve problems, right? So maybe you're a coach, consultant, agency owner, online service provider, or you're just a YouTuber who likes to educate people and you want to make more money. How do you position yourself as the go-to expert on YouTube, even if you have a small channel? That is one of the most common questions that I get. And by the way, if you didn't know who I am, I'm Shane Hummus. I have a over 1 million subscriber YouTube channel. I make multiple six figures a month from YouTube from that channel. And I teach other people how they can actually turn their YouTube channel into a business. So I'm more on the business side of YouTube. So not just getting views, which is what 99% of gurus teach, but actually making money and turning it into a business where you're not constantly running around like a chicken with his head cut off, so that you can actually enjoy your life when you're actually, making money on YouTube, right? So that's the reason you did it in the first place. And so basically, I get this question all the time, and this is one of the things that so many people wonder about, right? I get this question from my students, from clients, etc., and also just people on the channel or on Twitter, etc. So let's talk about exactly how to do this, because there's really a science to it, and this is something that took me a long time to figure out, and there's definitely a science to it. So the first thing is pillar content. Now, pillar content is stuff that you want to do right off the bat on your channel, because it's going to be content that you can actually send people to from your other videos. So you're actually going to be sending people to this content from the videos that you post. And this content is going to be kind of either middle of the funnel or bottom of the funnel content, where it's going to be designed to nurture people, to educate them, and to convert them. So nurture, education, and conversion. That's what really. So education, okay, educate, nurture, and convert. So there is other types of content that you will eventually do that may not be anywhere near the same as this type of content. But the goal of this content is not to get a lot of views. In fact, it probably will, almost certainly will not get that many views at first. But then when you start sending other people to it, it will slowly start getting more views. And it's almost like having a VSL on YouTube, right? It's like a YouTube VSL. And in some cases, it literally is like a VSL that you essentially put on YouTube. But this is content where you answer very common questions that people have. It's content where um, you kind of take them through like a step-by-step process of how everything works, at least like an overview. You don't need to get into the nitty-gritty details, but an overview of how everything works. In some cases, this could be, so we'll give you a few different examples of this, like a YouTube VSL. So this would be like maybe a 45-minute video that kind of goes over the opportunity. An example of this would be Iman Gadzhi's "What is the best opportunity in 2024?" He did that video. I'll put a screenshot up on the screen of that video, and he would literally funnel like millions of people to that video. So this is a YouTube VSL, usually maybe 45 minutes to an hour, somewhere around there. Another example of this would be a full length course. So literally just putting a full course on YouTube. This is getting more and more common. People put full courses on YouTube and then they funnel other people to that video, and those can actually get a lot of views on their own. This is a phenomenal way of doing it. Of course, that's a massive amount of effort. Also, just like, these are usually 3+ hours, by the way, 3+ hours. You can do like an ultimate guide as well. Ultimate guide. These are usually quite a bit shorter. It can be kind of like an easier way. These are around like 1 hour. A little bit easier to make. It doesn't take you like weeks or a month to make it. When I say 3+ hours, sometimes it's even like 12 hours for these. So it can actually be like a massive amount of content. And then also just answering common questions, right? Answering common, almost like an FAQ, common questions, right? So it's just like, I call this like FAQ content, right? Frequently asked questions. And yeah, that is your pillar content, and this is something that you should absolutely do when you first start your channel. Make this pillar content, and it's not going to be your main way of getting views, but it is going to be a great thing that you can funnel people to. Second, be so good they can't imagine not subscribing. So this one, ooh, I can't tell you how important this is. This is like the hipster gene. Okay, that's what I like to call this. When you are a small channel, you have something going for you. You're not mainstream. Okay? And you might think that's bad. That sucks, right? Like not being mainstream. And in some ways it is, right? There's always pluses and minuses to everything. But the strength, the advantage that you have is that a lot of people will follow you because of the fact that you're not mainstream. And I call this like the hipster gene. People actually enjoy following smaller channels because they feel like they just found like a diamond in the rough, and they want to be like, oh, I was the first one to discover this channel that blew up, right? Like oh, I knew about them before they were cool, right? That's kind of like the hipster gene, And if hipsters, they're usually it's with music, and they find some like little band, and they like to brag about like being the first one to find the band. And there's a lot of people like that on YouTube that are kind of searching for these like diamonds in the rough on YouTube. Okay. And so when people find you, you want them to feel like urgency to subscribe to you, right? You want them to feel like, holy crap, I just found this unbelievably valuable channel and I need to subscribe to them now because I might lose them. You want them to literally fear losing your channel. Okay? Like, you know what? I might actually write this out because my handwriting's pretty bad. So let's write that out. You want them to literally fear losing your channel. Fear losing your channel. That's what you want to them for fear losing your channel. Okay. So not only do they think like, oh my gosh, this is an amazing channel, but you want them to be afraid of not like keeping track of your channel and then your channel, disappearing and they can never find it again. Okay. That is what you want to tap into. So be so good, they can't even imagine not subscribing. Like you want them to be thinking like, I've never hit the subscribe button so fast, because you are talking about stuff that is so high level, and it's new, it's unique, it's like a new opportunity. Nobody else is talking about it in the same way. And you are just dropping knowledge that nobody else is dropping. Right. So Alex Hormozy had this effect when he first started. Right. Everybody who stumbled on that guy's channel was subscribing like crazy because they felt like they'd found a diamond in the rough. Okay. And that's what you want to be as well. You want to be. So when you're watching your content, don't think like, is this okay? You want to think like, is my content, and by the way, quality, this has nothing to do with the quality of the content. This is the content itself, like the actual substance of the content. You want to be so good with the substance of the content that they can't imagine not subscribing. And there's several different ways you can do that. Obviously, that's not what this video is all about, but niching down, right? Being kind of like the only one in that, sub niche. Usually this is a sub niche. That's one way of being incredibly good. So like, for instance, you aren't just an e-com store. Like at first, like, oh, everyone was just talking about e-com, and then people would niche down into Amazon FBA, and then like maybe after a while it was like running ads on Amazon FBA. There'd be channels that kind of specialized in running ads on Amazon FBA, right? And you just like niche down further and further until you're super valuable and you're super dialed in to the exact thing that's important. And by the way, you can always niche out later on. That's exactly what Alex Hormozy did. At first, he was giving like just sales advice and marketing advice. Now he just gives business advice in general, right? So be so good, they can't even imagine not subscribing. Have strong opinions on things and state them. So I'll just give you guys an example of this. I think that quantity is much more important than quality when you're first starting on YouTube. I strongly believe that quantity is more important than quality. Quantity over quality. Okay. I like, and I've made entire videos about why I think this is, and there's other people and they're experts that disagree with me. They're like, oh no, quality is more important. And when you first start, I will die on this hill. I think that quantity is so much more important than the quality of the video. Like, you want to make sure that what you're actually saying is really valuable and good. But in terms of like the editing and stuff like that, I really don't think it matters, especially if we're talking about a sophisticated audience, aka people who actually have money. And that's what I always tell people to target, is audiences that actually have money. So most of the audiences my clients target are sophisticated audiences. And you want to have strong opinions on things, and you want to state them, and you want to like die on that hill. Because if you don't have strong opinions on something, you're like, why not, like if all of your opinions are milk toast and they're kind of just like, most people believe this, most people believe that. Like, what's the difference between you and AI? Because AI will give you milk toast opinions, right? It'll give you like, yeah, some people say this, and some people, don't do that. You have to give strong opinions on things, and you need to stick with them, and you need to state them, and absolutely like die on that hill. And people will have so much respect for you if you do this, right? So have some things that you stand for, and have strong opinions about them, and don't ever waver. An example of this, guys, that you see people making mistake all the time is politicians. Politicians will flip flop on things, and it just makes people just totally lose respect for them. Whether it's right or wrong, maybe it was right for them to flip flop. Maybe they were like wrong about it or whatever. But regardless, like the reaction from people is that people lose a lot of respect for them, right, when they flip flop on stuff. So don't do that, right? Don't flip flop on stuff. Think about it deeply. Have some strong opinions, and then stick with your opinion. Also, showcase your own success. This one's obvious, but like, tell people about your success. Like, a lot of people don't do this, right? So at the beginning of this video, I told people like, yeah, I have 1 million subscribers. I make multiple 6 figures per month. I also have a bunch of clients that I've helped get to 7 and 8 figures as well. You need to do that, right? You need to do that, and you need to do it often. You have to toot your own horn, because when people watch your video, especially if they're new and they've never seen you before, they are just in a split second, they're going to decide whether or not they are going to actually follow you and listen to what you have to say. And if you don't have some success that you've tooted your horn about, then they're probably not going to follow you. Now, by the way, you might be thinking, well, Shane, I'm turning the video off right now because I'm not that successful compared to you. I don't make multiple 6 figures per month, so no one's going to listen to me. Actually, when you make less money, you are more relatable. Okay, so there are people out there that I know this one guy. It's actually hilarious. He makes about 1 million per month. I know, because I know his back end, and in his ads and stuff, he only talks about making about 30K per month. Okay, now why does he do that? So he's more relatable. Okay, so because 30K per month is like the holy grail. You know what I mean? And he's much more relatable when he split tested this apparently, and he's like he just goes with about 30K per month, right? So showcase your own success, and the more relatable, the better. In fact, a lot of people, the guys at school, they found that the most effective ads are usually when you tell people like, I'm going to help you make your first 1K per month, right? Those are the ones that get the most people, right? So you don't have to be making that much money to be relatable. So the more money you make, the more authority you have, but the more money you make, the less relatable you have. So again, there's advantages and disadvantages to being quote unquote small, right? And there's actually a lot of advantages to being small. So lean into it. The smaller you are, the more relatable you are. The smaller you are, the more of kind of like a diamond in the rough you are. So you're going to attract a lot of hipster type people, right? So lean into that. Use it as an advantage. Also, showcase your clients' successes. So, again, you notice at the beginning of the video, I talked about how not only have I gotten myself success, but I also got my client successes. This is something you should do in every single video. Once in a while, I forget to do this, and I'm like, fuck. Sometimes I'm like, all right, I'm going to record an entirely new video, or at least like add on to that old video just to do this, because it's extremely important. Showcase your client successes. like obviously you want to show that your clients are getting success, because again, it's going to make people believe that they can do it too. And belief is incredibly important when it comes to actually getting people results, right? And they're going to be more likely to work with you. And then let's just say you're saying, Shane, I don't have that much success, or I have very little success, and I don't have any client successes. Then you know what you want to do? Break down other people's successes. Use case studies. Case studies are actually quite effective, even though it's not you that's getting the person success. The fact that you're able to break down and analyze why they got success is actually extremely effective when it comes to getting clients. Okay, so I'm not sure why this is, but obviously, this is extremely effective. Like people that do case studies. I'll give you guys an example. One of the OGs who gave advice on YouTube, Patty Galloway, he when he first started doing YouTube, his channel, I'll even pull up his channel. He would make case studies on these different channels, and he was not a YouTube expert at this point. Right? He was not a YouTube expert by any means, but he would make these case studies on these channels, and people perceived him as an expert, even though he didn't really have any clients or anything at the point, or he wasn't like getting people crazy good results. And then he started getting clients, and then he started getting good results, and then he just got more and more popular and started making more and more money. Right? So you can absolutely kind of hack your way to success by doing case studies. And the more you learn, the more clients you get, and then the more you're going to learn, and then it's just like a virtuous cycle where everybody ends up winning, right? So this is how you can position yourself as the go-to expert on YouTube, even with a small channel. And eventually you want to find the master format, okay? The master format is a format, and this takes a while to find usually, that is, it gets a lot of views. It gets a lot of conversions. So it gets a lot of clients. And most importantly, it is repeatable. Okay, so it's a format that you can do over and over again. And this is where you get to live your life on easy mode. Once you found this master format, and you notice that almost all YouTubers have a format like this. For instance, Mr. Beast, he always does challenge videos. Okay, challenge videos, right? Mr. Who's the Boss, he always does review listicles. Review/listicle videos. Okay. And that's their master formats. And once you find this master format, that's when YouTube gets on easy mode, because your content just becomes like an absolute breeze to make. But it takes a while to actually find that format. You have to experiment, and it takes a while to find the format. But once you found it, it's amazing, right? So if you want help finding the format, if you want help growing, making money on YouTube, and actually automating it to turn it into a real business, I have a 45-minute strategy session that I will do with you, either myself or my team. And in this strategy session, we will diagnose your problem, see where you want to go. So see what your actual goal is. That's the first and the second thing. 3, give you a roadmap to get to that goal. And 4, see if we're a good fit to work together. See if I can help you get to that goal. This will be the most valuable 45 minutes that you spend on your business this year. So absolutely do not miss out on it. It'll be in the description and the pinned comment below.